Hi, and welcome to StarNotes, a Northern Star Media podcast. It is like Spark Notes, but it's not about the book that you didn't read for class. And today we are talking about Star Wars, specifically The Bad Batch, because the third season, correct me if I'm wrong, the third season will be releasing February 21st. Yes. And so we will just talk a bit of a crash course on everything you need to know before jumping into that third season. Ian, what would you say?
I would say for those who haven't really seen much of the Bad Batch or haven't heard much about it anyways, it's a group of genetically modified clones named after Clone 99 who basically, as he said, go on a mission about roughly every episode, who adopt this extra special clone named Omega. Mm-hmm. And yeah, throughout a lot of that stuff, they do a lot of good nods to Legends with Mount Tantus, and big plot, or unraveling at least the Empire's plots with the clones after Order 66.
Okay, yeah. So I guess that leads us into when the timeline of this, when this takes place.
So it starts probably like 30 minutes before Order 66, so like at the hour of beginning of the episode 3.
Revenge of the Sith, for people who don't know.
Yeah. And then season 3 is like 1 year and a half, 2 years after all that. Yeah. So
okay,
happened 2 years since the beginning of the series to the third season.
Okay.
That sounds like roughly decent. It's sometimes difficult to keep track of time through a lot of that stuff, but
you can find it. You search, there's like all the times. So, for example, Obi-Wan Kenobi is like 9 years before, 9 years before episode 4, under 5 years, You have like the official dates in Star Wars.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, Emily, as someone who has never seen The Bad Batch, if you were going to sit down and watch it, what are some questions that you might have going into it?
Maybe like... I mean, they kind of like said what it's like about, I guess, like a summary. Maybe just like the characters in it, like what kind of characters, and like just how it like I guess came to be, like if it's based on earlier Star Wars things. Yeah.
I mean, overall, the characters, it is still relatively targeted towards children, but everyone can still watch it. Like, the characters are still a little, like, cartoonish and all that type of stuff, especially, like, Wrecker, who's more targeted towards, like, the kid audience and that type of stuff. But overall, like, the stuff you need to watch beforehand, you do need to at least watch, like, the prequel trilogy and, like, the original just to know what's kind of going on. But at least to know more about, like, the Bad Batch specifically, Season 7 of the Clone Wars is a good place to start because that's where, like, they introduced the Bad Batch within the first couple episodes, and that's where we really got to know them before they made the show.
Okay.
Equal. Episode 1 is, like, the aftermath of the Order 66, like, how they take it. Then they have to, like, make a run around, the mid-galaxy planets because they're, like, been chasing. Episode 3, they got trapped in a lone loon, and then they have to like get money and like stuff to live. So that's when they know a character that I don't remember the name actually. She was an informant of the Republic during the Clone Wars times, and then she gave like random missions so they can like still
Sid? Sid, the Trandoshan lady.
Sid. She's Trandoshan, I guess.
I think she looks Trandoshan.
Yeah, it looks like. And, well, that's like the main season. They are making missions, protecting Omega of the bounty hunters that they want to capture she. And at the end, I guess it was Hunter, the one who gets captured.
Hunter got captured.
So they all like gathered in Camino, that is the main home of the clones. And at the end, well, the Empire destroys, not the whole planet, but the central city, that is the Poca city. That's like the end of the season 1. So they're like all sad. And that and have like a little issue with the old legends, but well, it's okay.
Okay. And then, so does season 2 pick up like right after season 1, or is there like?
Yeah, it picks up right after, and a lot of what season 2 goes off of, and at least stuff I've seen, I've enjoyed a lot. Is it goes right after, like the destruction of the cloning facility, right after the destruction of the cloning facility, and it goes right into how the clones overall feel about all that stuff and how they've interacted with that stuff, as well as kind of, well, the cover up with it, as well as how the galaxy felt about it, or at least like felt about it in the plot episode where they revealed that Topoka City was actually attacked. And it's also just interesting seeing how, no matter what, Palpatine still manipulated a way to get what he wanted and still wound up getting a Stormtrooper program.
Mm-hmm.
It's at least season 2 is a lot about clones starting to realize at least the extent of how much the Empire has messed with them, how much they've been really like realizing this isn't right, what we're doing isn't right, this isn't what we're fighting for, and Palpatine using that as an opportunity to phase them out and replace them with Stormtroopers.
Okay.
So is like the human, like the Bad Batch, are they like human clones, or is it like aliens or something?
So, well, there are clones. The clones technically are human, but the Kaminoans make a little mistakes with some clones when they clone it, and they get like modifications. Yeah, completely like that. So there are clones, but there are like mistakes. Really, it's like the main point of the of this squadron. Actually, I mean, they are not the only one who have like that mistakes or modifications. The like most famous case is 1999.
Yep,
that was like a clone that gets like so old and weak.
He was a very genetically he was very much like one of the bad products of the clones, where he was very misshapen. He looked very similar like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, but either way, he still proved himself and proved that he was a soldier by sacrificing himself to save his brothers.
Oh.
That was sad.
Yeah, that sounds very Emily, that sounds cute. I'm over here. That's really sad, guy.
It is sad.
Yeah, it was.
But I mean, hearing like especially the fact that they keep on naming stuff after 99, this legacy still carries on. Like I still do enjoy that, how important he was for the clones, especially where like the entire like special like defect like clones were named after him.
So you mentioned earlier how the clones are kind of like realizing like this isn't, whatever they're doing isn't really great, and the eventual switch to the Stormtroopers. Do you think that that's something that you'll see within this like series? Is that switch?
Oh, I mean, you've already started seeing that with season 2. I mean, even the similar designs that they have like full-on Stormtroopers now with a lot of the stuff. Like when Bad Batch was trying to get the information on where like Reno at Mount Tantus is. For those who don't know, Mount Tantus is where like the secret special science division for the Empire is, where they're doing secret cloning projects for a lot of different things. Like primarily, I think the biggest thing they're looking for is cloning Force-sensitive clones. Mm-hmm. But so I got a little off track there.
It's okay.
What was the
seeing the switch of?
Oh yeah. But, I mean, even throughout the combat, you're seeing a lot more Stormtroopers available. Like, they very much differentiated in the animation, like, Stormtroopers and Clone Troopers, where the Clone Troopers still look like Phase 2 Clone Troopers and, like, Revenge of the Sith and end-season Clone Wars. But I'm sure you're probably going to see a lot more of that, especially after Palpatine made that order. You're going to see a lot more Stormtroopers in place, and it'll be very curious to see, which I think season 3 will cover more. Is very curious to see like what all of the clones will look, or where all the clones will wind up going for all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then kind of just like going off of that, what things are you interested in learning in this next season about the plot?
So, well, the Bad Batch is based on a very ancient idea in 2008-9. Mm-hmm. Of an Imperial squadron that have like the same members, the same characteristic, but with another leader that is a stormtrooper that held a lightsaber. Yeah, right. That's like 2013 comics with Luke Skywalker. He got captured in Raxus Prime, and well, then he learned how to use the lightsaber with that. Sorry, with that clone.
Mm-hmm.
So I expect that the Bad Batch become like a part of the Empire machine, and well, they continue that arc. It's like my expectation of this season.
Oh, that's actually pretty interesting. I didn't know about that comment where a clone trooper taught Luke how to use his lightsaber.
Yeah, not much people know about that arc, but yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Wait, like taught Luke Skywalker how to? I'm confused now.
So Luke Skywalker, between episode 4 and episode 5 in a comic series, he got captured by well, it's kind of like pirate. So he was like forced to fight in a pit, yeah, like the Coliseum, the Romanos Coliseum. Yeah. And then he met this stormtrooper that I don't remember the name, but he knows how to hold a lightsaber. Mm-hmm. So he taught Luke in how to use the lightsaber like a real Jedi, and at least like a real warrior. And that's like the progress since episode 4, when he's like just a child, to episode 5.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I guess it's episode 4 to 5, or maybe 5 to 6. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's the point. Mm-hmm. So that stormtrooper leads a squadron that is like the Bad Batch, but they are all Imperial.
Okay.
I mean, it's literally the same members, the same characteristics, the same modifications, all the same. But just one more, that is the leader.
So are you theorizing that like the Bad Batch, or like you theorizing that those groups of clones might be the Bad Batch? Or
I mean, I'm not theorizing that theory is like very old.
Yeah.
I just like put it the fact, and it's that squadron is so likely to the Bad Batch.
Oh yeah, okay.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of that, so.
Neither did I. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Is there anything that you're looking forward to learning in this next season?
Well, I think the biggest thing I would love to see more is figuring out what's more going on with Mount Tantus, because I'm a big Legends person. I've seen a lot of stuff about the Legends, and Mount Tantus is very big when it comes to Legends, especially when it comes to like Thrawn and his return, which we see in Ahsoka. But I would say that I think the biggest thing I'm wanting to learn about Season 3 is more what's really going on there, even though I have my guesses. Like, we already know enough, like with Episode 9, that like the Palpatine gets cloned and that type of stuff. But I'm more curious about like really what's going on there. I think the biggest cliffhanger they had was the other Omega clone. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest cliffhanger they had at the end of Season 2. So I'm very curious about the second Omega clone that actually looks older. So clearly Omega wasn't like the first, or either she wasn't the first, or this was like one of the ones that's able to age a lot quicker like the other clones. But I think those are the two biggest things I'm like most interested in learning about, is Mount Tantus and the second Omega clone.
Yeah. Are there any like key Star Wars like terms, phrases that people like Emily who would need to know before watching the series?
I think the biggest thing you probably would need to know about like this series, especially before you watch it, is you need to know about clone inhibitor chips.
Okay.
Clone inhibitor chips are basically what executed Order 66. It was a switch that was intentionally implanted in the clones' brains by Palpatine, where basically whenever Palpatine gives the command, the clones will do exactly exactly what he follows. So as we saw in Revenge of the Sith, and as we see more, and as it's expanded upon in like the Clone Wars, Rebels, and the Bad Batch, as soon as Order 66 is declared, all of these clones basically lose all of the free will, all of their individuality that we've seen build up throughout all of the Clone Wars, and then become simply these mindless soldiers that follow every command. And the Bad Batch is more about like what happens after that, how are the clones after that, and kind of the clones slowly recovering from at least the inhibitor chips.
Are there any like Star Wars characters that people would recognize in this series?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Saw Gerrera. I don't like Saw Gerrera. He's such a jerk.
Well,
He always
there's
messes everything
another
up.
that is supposed to be dead because in a novel, she got killed by Konduku. That it's a Sac Ventress.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, Ventress. Yep.
So, well, in a novel, he got killed to save Queen Lambos. Well, it's a long story, so yeah. The fact is that she's again alive, like Darth Maul.
Mm-hmm. There is, they do show off Grand Moff Tarkin. So Grand Moff Tarkin was the big, or at least like the big bad guy in A New Hope. And they do show off a little bit of Director Krennic. Like they do give a little nod to Rogue One with Director Krennic with Project Stardust.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of, Captain Rex is another big one. If you're watching Bad Batch, you definitely need to know who Captain Rex is because he's a very critical character, at least on giving the Bad Batch a lot of their information and at least setting them up on a lot of like the more like critical episodes and like the critical plot pushers.
And for those who might not know, who is he?
Captain Rex was the clone commander of Anakin's division, the 501st. Back in early Clone Wars. So we see a lot of Captain Rex throughout the Clone Wars. He's a very critical character with that. Very notable in like the Umbara arc in the Clone Wars. But yeah, basically he was the clone commander of the 501st who in Season 7 got his inhibitor chip removed by Ahsoka, which is why he didn't follow Order 66, which is why he is working towards like saving a lot of the clones that we see in Season 2.
Okay. Interesting. Santiago, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, well, there is two more characters. That it's Gregor and Commander Wolf.
Mm-hmm.
They are also clones that got their inhibitor chip removed. I'm not sure one of them appear in the trailer, but I mean, expect seeing one of them because, well, they need to explain how they removed their inhibitor chips, and yeah, that's it.
Cool. Emily, do you have any like questions about the series?
Oh, I don't think so. No.
All right. Well, that leads us right into our next point is how do you guys all collectively feel about the fact that Disney is creating more Star Wars shows?
It's very hit or miss with me with a lot of his stuff. Like, a lot of the Disney shows that they have made with The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Andor, when they're good, they're really good.
Mm-hmm.
But there has been a lot of, just because it's a show, they need to get episodes out, there is a lot of, like, unnecessary parts of it, especially, like, in Ahsoka. There is that, I at least personally had that thought when it came to Bad Batch, but I'm a little bit more lenient with that since that's a little bit more of, like, based off the Clone Wars, a little more directed to kids, so I need to have a little more, like, the fun episodes. But it is very much, like, a little bit extra, like, filler before you really get to the meat.
Okay. Santiago, how do you feel about it?
Well, so, I mean, I believe that Disney really make a good things to Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
There are like a part of the fandom that say that Disney killed Star Wars. That's totally false. Not just with the series and the movies. We can see games, we can see novels, we can see comics. There is a lot of content since 2015, 2013.
Mm-hmm.
There is new games, the Battlefront series, the Calcast story, mobile games. There are a lot of them now. So yeah.
I mean, we can thank Disney for Season 7 of the Clone Wars. I mean, a lot of us never really thought that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like overall, they did a good job of Season 7. Like,
Clone Wars got cancelled in 2013. They just have time to make the Lost Missions, that is Season 6, and then they come and, just make it Season 7. That was so fine. So, yeah.
So has Star Wars like always been through Disney?
No.
No.
It was through George Lucas, who created Lucasfilm. And it kind of went through that. And then I don't remember what year Disney bought it. Was it like 2016?
2012.
Was it 2012?
I was going to guess 2013.
Oh my
It's
God.
2012.
That's
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember like the huge controversy when Disney first bought Star Wars.
There was a big controversy with that, but they started off really strong with Rogue One.
Yeah, I agree. I really enjoyed Rogue One.
Yeah. For me, it's like the best movie of Star Wars.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, they really
Just-
did.
Like equal or maybe the same with episode 3, but yeah, it's still
Mhm.
one of
Mhm.
the best movies.
So episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, is that your favorite
Yeah.
Star Wars? That's my favorite as well.
That's my favorite, too.
I mean,
Emily,
we
it
are-
needs to be your favorite. It's
I
so
feel like
good.
it's a lot of our generation's favorites.
Yeah.
That's what we grew up on, you know, like when I was a kid, like my parents never really always told me like I was too young to watch it for like a while.
Same here.
And I would always like see it on in the background or something else like that, and I'm like, I really need to watch this. I really need to watch it. And I was so liberated when they actually like let me watch it.
Yes. Okay, I had the same experience. My mom wouldn't let me watch it for the longest time. So when I was finally able to watch it, I was like, all right, this is my favorite now.
I
Hey,
know.
maybe it'll become my favorite if I ever get around to watching
Yeah.
Star Wars.
It
You
was my
should.
favorite before I even watched it.
Yeah. Exactly. Same here. I love the original trilogy and then the prequels, and I think Disney did a really good job with Rogue One, and I did like Solo. I know it's got like mixed
Yeah.
reviews on it. I personally liked it. I liked having a bit of that background to his character.
Is that one like based on Han Solo?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan that they keep continuing on with these series. I personally was kind of turned off from Star Wars for a while after the sequels came out.
Yeah.
That's full of the solo movies because fandom make like a, I don't know how to say it. So, well, they didn't come to the cinemas when Solo released.
Mhm.
And that makes that Disney changed their plans. So they canceled the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. They canceled a trilogy of movies. And then they passed all that stories to the series.
Mhm.
So that's why.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up being a huge Star Wars fan. My dad is a huge Star Wars fan, and I saw all 3 sequels in theaters.
Same.
Same.
Even being a little annoyed each time, I still went to see each
Yeah.
one. But I was just a little disappointed after like that mini like trilogy was done, and I was turned off from Star Wars for a little bit.
I think at least the best way for at least me to deal with the sequels is just kind of like block it out. you
Yeah,
know,
they don't
pretend it doesn't
exist.
exist.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's a lot of people who like it. One of my buddies is a big fan of it, but personally, I didn't really enjoy it that much. And the only biggest like issue I have with like a lot of those shows, especially the ones that happen like right after Return of the Jedi, like Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and that type of stuff, is you still like know where it goes up to, and you're still kind of like it goes to that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like something this good goes to that. But if you take it at least without the context of the sequels, I'm very much like all in for Ahsoka. I loved Ahsoka. Mandalorian.
I liked season 1. It was pretty okay. I didn't watch beyond that though.
Season 1 was like I think the best season. Season 2, again, I think it was similar to something I said about Disney before. Is there's a lot more fluff than like when you actually get to the meat, it's good, but you just got to get through a lot of fluff, and that's what season 2 is. It's just getting through a lot of that fluff before it really gets good. And then at least something I personally didn't really enjoy much is in order to understand more of season 3, you need to watch Boba Fett. Book of Boba Fett. And yeah, Book of Boba Fett, at least for me, is basically Mandalorian season 2.5 with
I
Boba Fett as a
did
side
watch-
character.
Yeah, I did watch that. Yeah, I can attest to that statement. What about you, Santiago? How do you feel about it all?
About all, what? I mean, I get a little lost.
Yeah, about the series like expanding and then like beyond the trilogy or the sequel.
Okay,
trilogies.
so we have to start from the point that mostly all of the stories that they are like telling us in this series are have like a background in legends, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for many fans are like, yeah, you are making the same, but you are changing many things that maybe are good, maybe are bad. Yeah, it depends. For example, Tales of the Jedi,
Mm-hmm.
it's based like the Ahsoka part. The Ahsoka after Order 66 is based on the novel of Ahsoka, but they change a lot of things. That is like, yeah, I mean it's fine, but why you change that when you have the novel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, depends of like every detail.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you're a fan of all the new stuff that's coming out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Why?
I mean, I think it's pretty awesome.
Okay, you
Yeah.
like all the new content and like you think the plot
what I
lines.
don't like it's the fact that mostly Dave Filoni, he just ignore the content that is like written, right?
Okay.
Like the comics, the novels,
Okay.
the
Yeah.
books, all that stuff. He doesn't exist for him. So yeah, that's kind of annoying.
Did you read any of the written?
No, I've seen a lot of like summary videos on all that stuff, and at least from the stuff like I've seen, I mean, while I do think that he has kind of like ignored some of that stuff, I do think that Filoni has been like extra respectful when it came to the legends, especially with Ahsoka and their treatment of Thrawn. Like Thrawn originally was a legend character, and they brought him back to canon. Like they still have like in the Bad Batch we have Mount Tantus, which is a Legends like Imperial facility. Well, they do have the stuff in the books. I mean, I don't know. I think I can enjoy at least that they're putting their own little spin to it, while also like kind of having at least some of the legend stuff there. You know, something where you can recognize it and at least they acknowledge that these like existed, while still like doing somewhat of their own story.
Yeah. So like a pretty respectful approach.
Mm-hmm.
So are the legends like a like specific like special group of characters or?
Yeah, well, so Legends is all the stuff of Star Wars that it's in comics and books before before Disney, basically.
Mm-hmm. Like as soon as Disney bought bought Star Wars, all of the like Star Wars content, like books and everything else, were considered legends. So they were basically all decanonized from Star Wars.
So that's pretty much everything like before Disney bought Star Wars.
Yeah.
A lot of the Star Wars content before Disney
because
bought
that
before
timeline have like 10 million years. There's content along 10 million years, so yeah, it's pretty big.
Yeah. There is a ton of Star Wars content. For sure. One series that I haven't heard pop up yet that I would like all y'all's input on, the Obi-Wan series. Did you guys watch it? How did you feel about it?
Yeah, I watch it every week at 2 in the morning, so
Yeah, I always watched it in the morning, like right the day it came out.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there is a very interesting discussion about Obi-Wan because there are like some fandom that like it and some fandom that really dislike it because of like the vision that they have about Obi-Wan. Yeah, so for one side, there are some people that like Obi-Wan because he's like the perfect Jedi. So he lost his friends, his Padawan / like son. Yeah, he lost like her kind of wife, Satine of Mandalore. He lost the Republic. He lost the war. Yeah, he got their entire life completely destroyed, but he's still in the path. Yeah, that's like the vision and life of Obi-Wan before the series, and then they release the series and we see Obi-Wan completely destroyed. Like, yeah, well, I don't want to be Jedi anymore. So personally, I like more this Obi-Wan, like the destroyer, the hero who have to like remember all the talks and all the things because it's like more human, maybe. So yeah.
So you did not like the character that he became?
Yeah, I did like,
You did like
but
it.
I respect the the other character.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
one before the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. That's totally fair. Ian, how did
Yeah.
you feel about it?
In terms of the portrayal of Obi-Wan, I did like really.
How's it going?
It's going good.
Good. We're almost done. Give us like 5 more minutes. Okay.
Having fun?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Bye.
In terms of the character Obi-Wan, I like what they did with Obi-Wan there because, well, at least Santiago, you pointed out that like he's considered the perfect Jedi. I have a little bit of a different belief with that, where I don't really consider Obi-Wan as the perfect Jedi, where even though he did have all that stuff happen and he still stayed on the right path, he still wound up failing Anakin, and he still wound up like following under like and getting crushed under the wheels like the Jedi politics and like basically what was the reason why the Jedi Order failed in the first place, which was them getting overly involved in politics, getting them overly involved in a war that really shouldn't have happened, all that type of stuff. But it was, I don't know, I think it was at least pretty nice seeing Obi-Wan like go through his own hardships of dealing with the loss of Anakin, and also just seeing them reunite between like Anakin and Vader. Like
That was hard for me to watch personally. Like, I don't know. I just felt like I felt emotional for them, I guess.
oh yeah, okay, it's like one of those where it was just very it was a
Yeah.
very emotional scene, especially
Yeah.
the way like Vader tortured that entire village just to draw Kenobi out.
Yeah.
I mean, just seeing the stuff that like happened with that. Like again, it's one of those where like when Kenobi's good, it's really good. I definitely feel like there could have been a lot more. I think the biggest issue with Kenobi was budget. Like the budgeting and stuff was very like
Low.
you look at the sets and it's like this doesn't really feel like Star Wars much, and like I feel like they could have expanded a lot more between like Obi-Wan and Vader, especially like their final confrontation. Like I felt like while it was still awesome seeing a lot of that stuff, like I feel like their final confrontation in the series could have been improved upon. But like their first confrontation, the only thing I'd maybe change is like Kenobi's escape, but like everything else leading up to that, I think was like perfect because they made Darth Vader like insanely terrifying, even to Obi-Wan too, and like just seeing how like even Obi-Wan can like be afraid of that type of stuff. Even Obi-Wan is still like human and still needs to like overcome this and overcome that story, which we see leading up to the end where he accepted his failure. He accepted what happened, and just like how he lost like Satine and lost everyone else, he experienced that difficulty and he experienced that moment of doubt, but still overcame.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing I can say with Obi-Wan is like overall I'm more frustrated because they definitely with Disney because they definitely could have done better, and they definitely should have devoted more resources to this character. But the stuff that they did do good, they did really well, and it still left me overall with a positive impression with Kenobi.
Yeah. I appreciated the series because for me it helped bridge the gap between like Revenge of the Sith and their meeting again in New Hope, versus when you just watch them as like standalone films without that extra context in the middle. You're like, how did they get from like this horrible encounter to a peaceful death of Obi-Wan?
Yeah.
So is Obi-Wan like a human character then?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a Jedi, yeah.
First played by Alec Guinness in like the original trilogy, and then by Ewan McGregor in the prequels, and like the stuff leading up to now, because unfortunately Guinness is dead.
Yeah.
Before I forget to mention this, I do know about Mark Hamill because it's probably this could sound really bad, but like I love The Big Bang Theory, and there's a scene in The Big Bang Theory where like Mark Hamill is there like officiating a wedding or something because one of the characters is like, that's Mark Hamill, and it was just like I got shocked by it. And I know he was in Star Wars. Was he in like the original Star Wars? Like who did he play?
He was Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
in the original.
Mark Hamill was the main.
he was like the main guy then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Interesting.
He even make like some things of the voice of the Joker, and
Yeah, he
like
voiced the Joker, which honestly I feel like Mark Hamill did a very good like job with his career after like
I agree.
stuff.
also played the Trickster in the Flash series.
Oh, yeah.
Fun
He's
fact.
an insanely good voice actor.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he is. He's really good. Emily, after all this discussion, how do you feel about the Star Wars franchise and the Bad Batch series?
Oh, it sounds interesting. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll consider watching it, and just like Star Wars in general. It seems like Star Wars is really like popular, like a big franchise.
For sure.
Like with how much stuff is like out there, like content wise. And then like I guess with it being on Disney now, I think that's probably good to like expand on it more.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about Star Wars for much longer than the time that we
Oh,
have,
yeah.
but yeah, so I would highly recommend, I think anyone in this room would highly recommend that you jump into the franchise and give it a shot. There's a
Yeah.
ton of content.
Maybe I'll give it a shot. Then.
Yeah, you should.
Yep.
I'll
4,
follow
5,
up
6,
with
1,
you.
2, 3.
Yeah. Yep, you gotta watch it in that order too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I have like a whole list of stuff I gotta watch.
All right, well, maybe we should move Star Wars to the top of the list.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's the main
okay.
priority right now.
Yep.
Maybe I'll consider that.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you guys would like to add on the Bad Batch series or the Star Wars franchise in general?
I would at least just say, like, for those who are interested in, like, first watching it, well, I mean, a lot of people have that issue with it. It's very much one of those where you kind of need to, like, you still theoretically could watch it, like, before watching, like, a lot of the other Star Wars content.
Mm-hmm.
But I would definitely recommend, like, before you really get into it or before you watch it, there's a lot of other, like, shows out there that if you watch those will improve your experience a lot better. So at least watching it, I would definitely recommend, like, watching Clone Wars, the movies, and I think those are the, like, the big ones you just need to watch before, like, really, before watching it. And
Mm-hmm.
So Star
That's
Wars
the
like
biggest
completely
thing.
different than Star Trek then.
100%.
Yeah.
Totally different. The only
Oh, yeah.
similarity is that they both take place in space, really.
yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's about it.
Because my dad is like a huge Star Trek fan. He watches
Mm.
Star Trek all the time, so like I'm used to watching that, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and there's not as much content with Star Trek as there is Star Wars.
Yes,
Okay.
there's a lot of Star Wars content.
Yeah, there's a ton, and you could stay busy for days watching all of it.
I would say longer than days.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried to make like a real whole marathon of all the Star Wars content. I stopped it like in episode 3 after like 3 weeks. So yeah, so huge.
Yeah, it's insane. A little daunting, but anyone should do it. I would highly recommend.
Oh yeah, it's definitely like daunting, especially like hearing like me list out like or everyone else list out like all the stuff you should watch like before
Mhm.
getting into it. But at least from all of us Star Wars fans here,
Mhm.
it is definitely 100% worth it. I mean, would you guys agree with that?
100%. My life is a
Yeah.
bit better since I have Star Wars in it.
Yeah, I mean, I played a lot of games of Star Wars. I really dedicated a big part of my life to Star Wars. So yeah.
Yeah.
Just really quickly, just want to ask, what's your favorite Star Wars video game?
Includes mobile games.
Like what?
Includes like mobile games.
Yeah, you can include mobile games.
So well, maybe two. First, Star Wars Empire at War because of the mods.
Oh.
It's kind of old, but yeah, it's fine. It's a strategy game.
Oh, I play it.
With the mod of the remake, it's so cute. It's like a movie, really.
I mean, they basically have kept that game going just off of the mods. Like the base game is overall like
Yeah, it's suspected that there is like a part 2 in development, but yeah, not sure. And in mobile, it's Galaxy of Heroes.
oh yeah.
I played like for 8 years, so yeah.
I've seen the ads for that. I'm curious. I'm like tempted to try it out.
Yeah, you have to make like a collection of heroes and yeah, improve them.
Mhm.
It's basically that.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that is all the time that we have today. Thank you, everyone, for listening or watching. And if you want more content, please subscribe to our YouTube page. And if you're looking for more Northern Star content, please subscribe to our daily newsletter, TLDR, at northernstar.info.